at some point, you realize that, you know what, no matter what I'm still going to be uncomfortable. I can say that that will change with time, and it will change in two ways. First, your body will acclimatize to the posture. It'll just get used to it. Your legs will stretch, your muscles get used to it, and so forth. And it won't be as uncomfortable as it is in your first retreat or several retreats. So there is a change that takes place in the body. More importantly, a change takes place in consciousness. Your relationship to discomfort gets rewired so that even when discomfort's there, it becomes less problematic. It will improve with time due to these two causes. In general, when you deal with a challenge of any sort, the first thing you want to do is ask yourself, what is the sensory challenge involved here? So what's involved in the sensory challenge of physical discomfort in your body is certainly the physical discomfort. However, there may be a significant component of feel, image, talk reaction to the discomfort, in addition to the discomfort itself. The physical discomfort has typically local intensities, but it also tends to have a global, subtle, spreading influence on your body, your whole body. However, that global spreading influence may be below the threshold of awareness. It may be subliminal, so you may not detect it. If you don't detect it, then you don't work with it. Basic principle in mindfulness practice, you only work with tangible sensory experience. You don't sort of like, well, I know something's there, what's wrong with me, I can't get to it, I can't detect it, and so forth. I know there's this or that under there, you know, why am I blocking it, et cetera, et cetera. That's not the thought pattern that goes with mindfulness practice. With mindfulness practice, it's whatever is available to the senses, that is what you work on, and whatever may be below it, well, that gets worked on by a trickle-down effect. So even though I say that there's often a global spread from the local intensities, it is also often the case that that is not detectable. And if it's not detectable, don't worry about it. Don't be concerned. However, if you happen to notice that when you get a sort of local splash here, there's a little something here, a little here, a little here, and those are touch, they're physical reactions to the local intensity. Well, then if it's come up to the surface of awareness, then that's something that can be worked with. Potentially, the sensory components of your physical discomfort are certainly an awareness of various local intensities, perhaps an awareness of a more global spread. This is all uncomfortable touch. Then reactive to that, you may have mental pictures triggered by that. You may have, and those could be pictures of the body part where the discomfort is, or they could even, in the extreme case, be symbols that sort of represent what's going on, or they may be pictures of the energy flows that are there. Like I used to get images of like knives stabbing, okay, or like hammers banging, or like monsters like biting and things like that. And of course, I call that disconcerting imagery, right? And then you get the talk. And the talk is like, oh my God, or it's like, oh, this sucks, or when's this going to go away, or, you know, I know Shinzen's asleep, the bell should be rung. Well, it doesn't bother him. He doesn't get, you know, he doesn't give a crap. It's like, but what about the rest of us, you know? Okay, so the overall gestalt is local touch, perhaps an awareness of a global spread of the touch, and perhaps some subtle or not so subtle arisings in feel, image, talk. So these all come under the category of what I call ordinary sensory experiences. You formulate a strategy for working with this. So one strategy is focus away from it. Just ignore it all. That is a valid strategy if you can do it. Focus on what? Restful states if you can, positive feel image talk if you can. I used to try focusing on, and actually I do this with pain patients, focus on sights and sounds that take you away from the body and the mind. It is valid to do that, as long as you realize that it's a mindfulness practice. In other words, as I define it, mindfulness is a threefold attentional skill set: concentration, clarity, equanimity. Those don't all have to be directed towards the same sensory event. You can direct your concentration and clarity towards, let's say, the sounds, while at the same time having equanimity with the body-mind eruptions. You're just not intentionally focusing on them. You're still having a cocoon of equanimity with the sensory challenge that's sort of surrounding the sensory challenge. It's just you're deciding, I'm going to put my attention elsewhere. And sometimes putting the attention elsewhere can really help with the equanimity and give a chance for the eruption to sort of cool down. So it is not the case that represents suppression or denial, the focus away strategy. The way you know it's not suppression is that you are giving permission for that sensory challenge to arise. You're just not intentionally focusing on it. Your clarity and concentration is being directed to something else, which could actually help with the equanimity on that thing. So it's not suppression because you're giving it permission to be there. You don't have an agenda that somehow you're going to make it go away. It's just you're selectively attending elsewhere. That is number one. And number two, on occasion, you're willing to turn towards it. If at least on occasion you're willing to turn towards it, and when you turn away from it, you equanimize it, but your concentration and clarity is simply directed elsewhere, so you're still developing basic mindfulness skills by a focus away strategy. If your focus away strategy is formulated that way, then you're not suppressing and you're not denying, because on another occasion you're going to turn towards it. You're just developing the same basic mindfulness skill set in another way that is easier for you or more attractive for you. So it is okay to focus away from things if you have that very clear conceptual framework that I just gave you. You may or may not be able to focus away. Sometimes I can do it. I can just focus on restful states, and I can keep with the restful states to near fainting levels of pain. And it creates huge equanimity and huge purification flavors. And I'm not focusing on the touch or the feel or the image. Just wherever I can find rest, I'm just relaxing and whatever I can do, if there's some, because pain can stimulate feel image talk, but pain can also turn off feel image talk, creating peace, blank, quiet. A lot of times when you're in physical pain, you don't want to relax the body, okay? Why? Okay? Why don't you want to relax the body when you're in physical pain? Because if you relax the body, it's likely you'll become aware of the spread that I'm talking about. The tension, the muscle tension in the body covers over that spread. But actually it's penny wise and pound foolish. Because if you relax the body, then yes, now the uncomfortable touch is going to subtly take over your body. When you give it permission to spread volumetrically like that, the pressure dissipates from the local intensity. Once you discover that, then you're willing to relax the body and let it spread. So sometimes I just focus on restful states and let the pain drive me into deeper and deeper states of relaxation, peace, blank, quiet. So if you can do that, great. But you may not be able to do that. In that case, no problem. Alternate strategy, turn towards it.